Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Whiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Whiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less. Today, our guest is Rosalind Warren, and she is a self-proclaimed happy mystic who identifies with a mystic as a person who believes it's possible to attain insight into mysteries transcending ordinary human knowledge by direct communication with the divine through immediate intuition. Welcome, Roz. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hi, welcome. Thank you. I know that's kind of a mouthful, but especially when you consider a mystic as being happy, it's kind of a misnomer. Yeah, so I went searching for the definition, and I think that's Webster's #2 definition, but it fit me because I really believe that. Yes.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And to get started, though, can you share with us a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
Absolutely. It's one of those where I just kind of would put my head down all day long and work. And at the end of the day, I'm like, what did I get done? And I'm exhausted. And so that was my challenge. And then several different ideas popped up. And for me, one of the biggest pieces is, and so I'm going to tell you how to do that. But the big piece is we have got to acknowledge what we accomplish. Hey, remember, you can't take credit because, that's what was it that nice girls don't do that? Oh, hogwash.
Right. Oh, yeah. all the good old things that we've been told our whole lives. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. 99. Well, that's the other piece. 99% of that doesn't even belong to you. These crazy thoughts running in your head, and that's one of them. But as we move through our day, if we complete one task, that's where the to-do list and the checks, that's why that always helped. But go even bigger than that. One of the things I did start doing too is I have a lot of planners because I love planners. Don't use them, but I love them. And because all my appointments are on the phone. Because if it doesn't beep at me, I don't remember I'm supposed to be doing something else. So what I would do is I would take all those little slots in these cute little day planners, and every time I completed something, I would write it down in there. Now, that included the crazy phone call that never made it to the to-do list, but it took 30 minutes.
Right.
All the little things that, we might call them interruptions, but they're life. And we've just got to take care of them. So then acknowledging them, then at the end of the day, I'd be exhausted, but I could look back and see I really did do a lot. Now, there's nothing on my to-do list touched.
Right.
But I did a lot. And then I learned my other best secret. And it's staying present, which we all work on. We stay present and focused and get all of these terms. But when you're sitting at your computer all day, plowing through your to-do list, how do you stay present?
Yes, tell us, how do you stay present?
That is my secret weapon. Humble little timer. But what I found was I tried different timings. So for me, it's 45 minutes of work, 5 minutes off, 45 minutes of work, 5 minutes off. That works for me. So if you're going to try this, try that. If that one doesn't quite work, do 30 minutes, do 60, and find out what your body resonates with. But the point of it is you're going to go into a project, set your timer for 45 minutes. And you might get interrupted. That's not the issue. The issue is that you don't stop for 45 minutes. That's not the real big deal. The big deal is we get going on something and then we look up and we've been there plowing through for what? 2, 3, 4 hours? Our hands hurt, our back hurts, our brains hurt. We're exhausted. And somewhere along the line, we lost connection with ourselves, with the present moment, and with the divine. And so some of that work that we just went through is going to have to be revised anyway. So let's don't do that. So what I found is 45 minutes now, it's a test because you can't blow through the timer, and I've done it. But when the timer goes off, if you're in the middle of typing go ahead and finish the HE. But whatever you're doing, when the timer goes off, stop. Get up, go get some water, take a stretch break, go to the bathroom. Woo, novel concept. Go take a breath of fresh air. And then come back, refocus on where you're at, reconnect into the present moment, and reset your timer for the next 45 minutes. And what I found was doing that all day long, I would end the day. I've got my to-do list that probably only had a few things checked off. I had my massive list of things that I had actually touched and done that day, but I wasn't exhausted.
Exactly. And you actually work so much more efficiently whenever you're not exhausted. But let's flip this around a little bit. Now, how about the days where you have a call at 9 o'clock, then at 10 o'clock, and then you don't have one till 11:30, and then you have another one at 2? What do you do in between your phone calls to stay present and to stay focused? Do you work in between these times? Or let's say if you have 15 minutes before your next call, do you work, or what do you do?
Number one for me is I would never book them that close together. Because the coaching that I do, it's all energy work. And so even though when we conclude our sessions, we're returning energy and calling our energy back home and all of that, I have got to get up and physically go, usually outside. I have a beautiful tree that loves me as much as I love it. And I might go hug a tree, but I have to get up and move. Now, yes, many of us, when we come into this mindset of treating ourselves well, when you go into your scheduling system, you got a 15-minute buffer before and you got a 30-minute buffer behind already laid out. You can't take 6 and 7 clients a day. There's nowhere in their calendar for them to be. You need those times. And we're already, if you're just coming to this, you are backed up, booked out, got more projects than 3 people could do. And there's going to be a transition time where you start letting go of things, or you get, and I know if you're not there yet, you go, oh yeah, right, lady, but it'll come. You get some help. Or you put some things on. We all know how to cook.
Right.
We get it all going, and we got to put some things on the back burner to simmer while we're up here busy with this one. And it's the same in business. Some of these projects and all, well, number one, some of the projects we have are not even ours. They're just flowing through us because we are capable of flowing projects. They're not ours to do. And we don't know that. So every time we have an idea, we're like, oh, I got to do it. Maybe not. So that's
cute. I've mentioned this before, the idea. I actually wrote an email about this, and my subject line was, he tried to sharpen his finger. My 8-year-old grandson watched something on TV where somebody had this sharp finger, so he thought he wanted a sharp finger and stuck his finger inside of a pencil sharpener. It didn't go too well. And so I told him, I said, honey, the next time you get a bright idea, maybe you should talk it over with your mom and dad before you take action. And in the email, I thought, as entrepreneurs and coaches, how often do we get these bright ideas and run with them without taking a step back and saying, is it really a bright idea?
Yeah. And does it belong to you? I remember one time early on in my internet marketing career, and I was talking about, I said, I just have too many ideas. And he says, put them all down in the ebook, people will buy it. I'm like, what? He said, there are millions of people in the world who do not have an idea. They don't know how to access them. They can't. And it was like, we access the ideas for the rest of the world because we're open. And it's like spirit goes, oh, there's a funnel, send them through her.
I couldn't even imagine not having ideas.
I know. It was a foreign concept, but he was really sure of himself. He says, I coach people all the time. They don't have an idea to rub together. It's, they're just, and I'm like, whoa. So we are gifted with this.
Now, would you say I know you work mostly with, the spiritual entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Now, I would imagine most spiritual entrepreneurs are like us that are full of ideas constantly.
Well, what I have them do, and I do it too, go out and get as golden a color set of index cards. They're usually yellow, but we call them golden. So every time you have a brilliant idea, put it on an index card. And you're going to keep a file of them. If you ever get bored, or, which never really happens, you're in doing visioning, pull out that stack of cards and go through them. And I always, preface it with, okay, show me what's mine to do.
Right.
And you'll go through the cards and it'll be like, I don't know. So you keep it in a pile. You've still got your brilliant ideas. They're just not up here rattling around in your head. And then you'll eventually one day run across one and go, oh, I ain't never doing that. Chomp, out it goes. And then
I can't believe I thought that.
I know. And then you'll go out. That belongs to somebody else. I wish them well. And then you go, you'll find one you go, ooh, this is exciting. I'm loving on this one. Because here's my other theory. As we are putting these on index cards, what we're really doing is saying, okay, universe, work on this. You do your end of it. And when it's time for me to put my physical hands on it, pre-pave it, set it up, pull together all the cooperative parts that we're going to need. So that when that card comes back up, that idea swings back around and I'm like, yes, when can we do it? What would it look like? Does it fit with anything else I'm doing in my entire world? Am I supposed to stop doing everything else I'm doing and do this? Where are we at with it? All of the pieces and parts are already together, and then it's easy to flow it out.
Right.
Yeah. So it's all energetic, but
with everything, okay, we have the timer to do our work and then taking care of ourselves. And you mentioned a few times about, hey, it's not your voice. And then I know it's like too with intuition and going to the cards with all the ideas. So first of all, how do we know if it's our voice or not? And second of all, how do we know when to follow intuition?
Well, number one, you follow intuition 100% of the time.
But how do you know?
How do you know if it's intuition or not?
Yeah, I know how I tap into my intuition, but how do you help people tap into their intuition?
Yeah. Let's do the head first. When we're talking about the head and getting clear, and this leads us to what I have for y'all as a gift, but all of those thoughts running around in your head, call it the monkey parade, whatever you want to do. When we talk about the thoughts running around in your head, you all go, oh yeah, I am intimately knowledgeable about those. Mm-hmm. The point of it is you want them to come out of your head so that you can witness them. Imagine you've got the parade going down the street. Where we start is we're in the middle of the parade. And usually we're the ones walking behind the elephants doing what? We got shovel duty. Uh-huh. Then we kind of move away from that and we're, I don't know, twirling the batons or something. Then we get to the point where we step onto the sidewalk and witness the parade go by. And as you do that, you notice that, oh, these are just, this is a novel concept. Those are just thoughts. They have nothing really to do with me. They're just thoughts. They are not who I am. They are not what I'm supposed to be doing. They are not really informing me of anything. They're just rattling around in my head. And once you begin witnessing them, then you ask, who do they even belong to? And we're not doing the whole thing of, okay, I'm going to look at this thought and yep, that's my mother. Yep, that's my so-and-so. No, that's not the point. It's more of a question up from your heart out to the universe. Who does this even belong to? And you're going to feel in your heart, is it mine or does it belong to someone else? And if it belongs to someone else, which if you have never done this process before, I will guarantee you 99.9% of the thoughts in your head do not belong to you. And what that means is what we were just saying. Somebody somewhere said in an authoritative voice, or you were too young to know any better, they made some statement and it sunk into your little brain as truth. And now you're living from these thoughts and these beliefs and these understandings. They don't even belong to you. They don't have anything to do with you and who you really are. So that's the head part. Now, intuition, there's several different ways. You've probably heard them called clairs. Clairvoyant is the most kind of well-known one. And that's clear sight. So clair means clear. So now mine is a little, mine's a funny one. I am claircognizant. Now we have all the clairs, but the one that's the easiest for me is claircognizant. And that means I just know stuff. So you can imagine before I got rid of all the thoughts in my head, then I have all this knowing coming in. And then behind that is my mother going, oh, you smarty britches. Who do you think you are knowing everything? I don't know. I just know. But she was not up on clairvoyance, clairs at all. So there was
even the claircognizant. That's not something that most of us would even realize existed. I mean, the first time I heard about it was a few years ago, but it is very interesting. I know even, I didn't start talking till I was 4 years old. And one of the first things, probably within a week of talking, just because I was the baby of the family and I didn't have to talk, I would point and get anything I wanted.
You're no dummy.
Yes. The first time I talked, we was at a birthday party, and I guess nobody was paying attention to me, so I started talking. But about a week afterwards, I go up to my mom with a deck of cards, and I said, Mom, will you play fish with me? And she said, you don't know how to play fish? And I go, yes, I do. She goes, you don't know the numbers of the cards? I said, yes, I do. And she was shocked, and I just knew, and I would always presume that I just knew from watching my siblings play that I figured it out. But
now, see, that's a good thing to have gotten from patterning and from other people.
Right.
Yeah. And okay, and though that is absolutely perfect the way you put it, because here you go. You knew the rules of the game from watching other people.
Exactly.
And that's all this is about. We have these rules of life from watching other people. And when it's innocent, like, yeah, I know how to play fish, it's cool. But when it's like, oh, you're a woman, you can't do this. You didn't go to college, you'll never make any money. You have little kids, you need to stay home and tend to them.
Yep.
Those are rules to life. That's what
sadly,
they don't even belong to you. There's no truth in them. If you want to become successful, be successful. And I know when you're sitting there and you're having a hard time and you're in tears, it's like, oh, crazy lady. But it's true. That's what it takes. It takes just dumping all that stuff and be what you want to be. Be who you're being called to be. So the other clairs that we're really familiar with, one is clairsentient. So you feel things, you just know, you walk in a room and you know what's going on. So, and then there's the sight, which some people have that. You can, you kind of get a vision.
Mm-hmm.
And so like for me, because I've been working at this for quite a while, my gift is, because I work with the Akashic Records, and so we go to the guides and they give us information, and I know what they're saying. And my gift is the fact that I can instantly take whatever they say, turn it into a word picture, so that when I explain to the client what they're saying, they can visually see it.
And so for people who may not know what Akashic Records are, can you explain what they are?
Sure, absolutely. The Akashic Records is the record of your soul. Most people call what we call the Akasha heaven. It's the space where all that is. There's no judgment, no whatever. And you may have heard, my mother, bless her heart, she used to use that as the punishment. You just got a black mark by your name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how many do I get before what happens? So yeah, another issue of fear. But everything, which most of you probably know, everything we do, we see, we're sitting right here now. I have a water bottle. This water bottle is energy. Now it's energy that's going so slow that it's a water bottle. Other energy is vibrating so slowly are rocks. We're vibrating slowly enough to be human bodies, but energy does go faster and faster and faster. And
sometimes my body doesn't feel like it's all that slow.
And it's every word we think, every thought, everything is recorded. And every single person has an Akashic record. Every entity, so your business has an Akashic record.
Let's move on. I do know that you have a strategy that our listeners can implement in 15 minutes or less to build their business. So what is your strategy?
The strategy is to stay present, set yourself up for success, use the timer. And that big piece of the timer is so that you can stay present. It goes off, you stop, tend to yourself, come back and refocus. Abraham Hicks calls that segment intending. Okay, I'm starting my next 45 minutes. What am I going to do? I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to share this email out and love on my people. It keeps you from just going through your day and at the end of it being exhausted and feeling like you haven't accomplished a thing when you really, really, really have. So that's I can say it with such conviction because it turned my life around.
Now, even going a little bit more in staying present, do you have any tips or tricks to get into the present moment?
Yeah, I like physical. So like if I'm feeling like way up here in my head, I like even just take my hands and run them up and down on my legs and feel the fabric. What you're needing to do is grounding. Coming into the present moment is grounding yourself back. Y'all have probably heard that. This is another one of those oldie goldies. You're so heavenly minded, you're no earthly good.
Mm-hmm.
And we get all up in our head, whether that's the thinking head and or we're all the way up in spirit, but we're floating off the ground. We're not connected to, and we came here to play because there is time, space, reality here.
Right.
And yes, we are totally unlimited. Time really doesn't exist. As you know, when you start working on something and 3 hours later, you think you've been doing it for 30 minutes.
Right.
So time bends and time morphs, but to come into presence, I physically move. I'll do my hands like this a lot. But that's the first thing. And then that for me is what the timer is for. It breaks the trance of, I got to work hard. I got to work hard. I got to plow through this. I got to finish it. I got to finish it. I got to finish it. because I'm not enjoying it when I get to there.
Right.
Yeah. And then it just calls me back. Michael Beckwith, he likes to ask the question, am I aware that I'm aware?
Right. I like
Now,
that. Am I aware that I'm aware? Yeah.
I stuck, am I aware that I'm aware? I had that Post-it note everywhere because I didn't even really know what it meant at the time. But being aware for me is just, it's almost like a GPS reading. We can do it like with the car. You get in the car and you turn the GPS on and it tells you you are here. And that's what we're doing. We're going, ooh, where am I? Oh, I'm right here. Where is here? What is here? Who is here? Going back to this being queen business, if you were the queen, you would literally have had all of these people who did this, that, and 50,000 other things for you. You would have also had to feed and clothe them as well. Right. But today I have I don't even know, 45 of them living in my phone. And so we just use the technology to support you. Use what we've got here today to treat yourself well, to enjoy life, because otherwise we're just going to come out on the other end and go, darn, I could have played that different. And what's the point?
And I know too, Roz, that you have a fantastic gift for our listeners. Can you share a little bit about it?
Yes. It is called the Dance Journal, and it's what I call a sacred technology because it will connect you with the divine. And dance is an acronym, and it means daring awareness nurtures creativity and expansion. And so it is a process that you are creating a journal that gets the monkey parade out of your head and on the street so you can stand back and witness.
And enjoy it versus the part of it.
and then included in there's a certain way of doing it, because I know there are so many people who've been violated throughout their lives with journals, as in they pour it all out, they're over it, and then somebody reads it. And then it's this whole thing. So the way you do the journal eliminates that process. So you'll love that. And then there's an energetic part that clears the energy from what you've written. And then we do art on top. So we bring forth beauty from ashes. So it's a whole process, and I love it, love it. It was given to me by my guides, and it made such a difference. I started giving it to clients. They're all like, oh, we love it. So well, what about? I go, I don't know, dance about it. And so
dance about it. I love it.
It's worked out great.
Yes, it sounds absolutely wonderful. So to our listeners, you want to head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Roz. That's lowercase ROZ. And you'll be able to download your own dance journal. So, Roz, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Yes. Let's all take a deep breath in. And out. Come into this moment. Just what is your heart telling you? So you each have a different parting word, and it's from your inner guidance to you. And you just feel it right here in your heart. It has been so much fun to be here with you. I loved it.
Oh, thank you, Roz. I absolutely loved it too. It's been great. And so thank you for being my guest. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to share it with your friends. And you want to hop on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Roz, and you're going to find all the links mentioned on today's show. You'll also be able to re-listen to Roz's words of wisdom, because she really gave us a lot of information today. And you could listen to this episode 4 or 5 times, I think, and still not get it all. So you definitely want to download it so you can re-listen to her words of wisdom. You also can catch up on other episodes that you might have missed. And while you're there, be sure to grab your dance journal. And with that, I hope you have a great week. Big hugs, and be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Biz Success in 15. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show, and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.